Is everyone already muted?
Don't mute me. I got papers in each hand. I can't unmute. 601.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna mute. Here we go.
Mortensen.
Hey, Brooke, we're ready.
One of my favorite volunteer memories is when a bunch of friends of ours in our community and my husband, who's a firefighter for Houston Fire Department, organized a very huge benefit that was in honor of Captain Bill Dowling, Iron Bill. The whole community pitched in and we were able to raise over $110,000 for this firefighter that was injured during a fire.
Cool thing about it too is that we had started out, it was just an idea, and it was just kind of a, something that we knew that we felt strongly about as far as reaching out and helping at this time. And we put the word out there, and it wasn't long, and we had over 100 volunteers from the community, and hundreds of people showed up with their card for the car show. Just all the people that had contributed. It was we just opened the gates, and the community flooded, the field with help. It was the most fulfilling and rewarding thing that we had done probably ever.
It's people like Laura and Jaron Black who create the Houston Together culture among neighbors, family, friends, coworkers, and classmates. In a city of millions, Laura and Jaron Black stand out as outstanding volunteers. My name is Brooke Parkinson, and I'm the Director of Volunteer Houston. We connect over 125,000 local volunteers with more than 500 local nonprofits in the Gulf Coast region of Texas. And we are jazzed to collaborate with 5 of those nonprofits to bring you the Houston Together event and to join together with local nonprofit leaders in recognizing their own Spotlight volunteers tonight. Here is Paul Green, Director of the Volunteer Initiatives Program for the City of Houston.
Hey, Andy.
Hi, Paul.
What do you call a volunteer bricklayer?
I don't know, Paul. What do you call a volunteer bricklayer?
A Freemason.
Oh.
I know many of you may be asking the question, what is a Spotlight volunteer? They are the people who give up themselves, their time, their talents, their skills, their kindness, and they do it willingly, without hesitation. A Spotlight volunteer is not only a role model for other volunteers, but a role model for organizations like ourselves. Here is Kia Gutter, Member Services Coordinator of Volunteer Houston.
Thanks, Paul. Tonight's Spotlight volunteers were selected by the nonprofit organizations for which they volunteer. Each nonprofit has a unique set of needs as it relates to the work that volunteers can do to further their missions. They know their volunteers best, so they set their own criteria for selecting their Spotlight volunteers. Here is Elisa Ward, founder of Soul Mission, a local nonprofit dedicated to giving new, well-fitting shoes to kids living in poverty across the U.S.
Thank you, Kia. While our local nonprofits selected their own Spotlight volunteers, we are honored to be able to recognize them here tonight and with a special recognition package. Each Spotlight volunteer will receive their recognition package in the mail. Thank you to Eclectic Interiors and Insperity for their contributions to the recognition packages these fabulous people will receive. Here is Jennifer Casey, Operations Coordinator for Houston Responds, a local nonprofit that mobilizes churches for disaster response.
Thanks, Elisa. That's right. I love volunteering so much that I do it for free. Please help us celebrate each of these volunteers by keeping your cameras on so that they can see you clapping and throwing confetti. Or use the reaction feature on Zoom so that you can select clapping hands, smiling faces, or confetti horns, which will appear in the camera feed. Additionally, don't forget to drop a few kind words in the chat. In any case, your microphones will remain muted just so that organizations have the opportunity to share reasons why they've selected their spotlight volunteers. Now, here is Andy Cook with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Andy is the Houston Metro Area Just Serve Specialist. Just Serve is a free web and mobile app that connects volunteers with volunteer opportunities and brings communities together through service.
Thanks, Jen. We hope you're all enjoying your time with us at Houston Together, connecting with volunteer opportunities and celebrating volunteerism. So let's begin. We are so excited to share with you tonight the stories of several volunteers throughout the Houston area. It's volunteers like all of you that make our city a great place to live. First Spotlight Volunteer of the evening was selected by Houston Responds, an organization that was born out of the collaborative disaster recovery efforts of churches after Hurricane Harvey. 4 years later, Houston Responds is still uniting, empowering, and mobilizing churches across Greater Houston. They have selected Bill Ford as their Spotlight Volunteer.
Hi, I'm Jeff Schultz with Houston Responds. I'm here today with Bill Ford, who is one of the volunteers in the Lake Houston Responds Coalition of Churches that's preparing to respond to crises in their community. So when I first met Bill, he and his church were thinking about that, about preparing volunteers to respond to crisis. Since then, Bill has put together a volunteer team, and I'd love for you, Bill, to tell us a little bit about how that happened and what the results are.
All righty. Well, thank you very much, Jeff. Yeah, as you said, I go to First Presbyterian Church in Kingwood, and we were hit hard by Harvey. A lot of our members flooded, and we were able to respond and muck and gut, but we realized that it wasn't as efficient as it could have been. And when we heard about the work that Houston Responds does to put organizations together to leverage who has which skills and who has which abilities, we wanted to be a part of it. So we started by identifying what things our church could do and what things we couldn't do. And from there, we organized about 6 different teams for pre-event and volunteer coordination and post-event cleanup or help and assistance. We identified a laundry team because that's something that we can do. And we had a lot of people with wet clothes and belongings and stuff, which also came in handy during the winter storm Uri, because a lot of people had pipes burst, things flooded, no power. And so people on the laundry team that did have power were able to step up and help do laundry for people. So we organized, and I went out in the church, identified some people, talked with our pastors, and got about 15 people that were team leaders or assistant leaders. So we have a backup for each position for each of the teams. And we organized and were ready for things. And so when our main focus, we were thinking was hurricane season. But when Winter Storm Uri was coming, we got on a Zoom call together, agreed to be ready to respond if we needed to. And as it turns out, a lot of our church members were helped by neighbors and members that lived close by, but there were half a dozen or more who needed assistance. And so our post assistance team was able to go and help get people's water turned off, in some instances, make small repairs, help do laundry. We've got a meal team that can put meals together, and it worked much more smoothly than if we just gotten church members calling the church office saying, I need help, and they'd be like, well, let's figure it out. So being prepared and having volunteers lined up. So we got the team leaders, and each of them identified volunteers who were interested in working on their teams. And we did that through a church-wide survey to say, here's the 6 or 7 teams that we've got, what can you be a part of? And not everybody can do everything, but everybody can do something. And so it's a great opportunity. And we understand if you're affected. So we had some of our team leaders who had burst pipes and couldn't step up, but we had assistant team leaders who could step up. And so it's a wonderful story of collaboration and volunteers working together. So thank you, Jeff.
Yeah, you're welcome. That's a great story, Bill. I'm reminded that there's a biblical idea that it's more blessed to give than to receive, and that we're blessed by God to be a blessing to others. And there are so many people in your congregation that are a blessing to others. I wonder if you could just briefly say something about what the blessing is to you and to some of the volunteers in your church to actually be volunteering, serving, and loving your neighbors.
Well, I think most people, a lot of people want to help other people, but are shy about receiving help. And so we have instances of people that were helped during Harvey who wanted to give back and who were able to step up and sort of pay back or pay it forward to help others in their time of need. And so it's a sort of the great circle of life. In some cases, you're on the receiving end. In other cases, you're on the giving end. But I do think it is more blessed to give than to receive. And I do think God has prepared good works for us to do in advance. And then we just need to respond to his call and step forward and do them.
Thanks, Bill, for all you do and for mobilizing volunteers to love your neighbors and serve your community. We look forward to hearing from you again.
Thanks, Jeff.
Bill, we appreciate all you've done for disaster recovery, and we know your contributions have blessed many lives. Our next organization that will be spotlighting a volunteer is Just Serve, and that's who I am with. Just Serve is a free mobile application and website provided by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to connect nonprofit organizations with volunteers. This app is so fun and easy to use. Just go to justserve.org to find out more. Just Serve has selected 16-year-old Spring resident Morgan Mortensen as our Spotlight volunteer.
Hi, my name is Morgan Mortensen. I'm 16 years old and I absolutely love volunteering. One of the things that I love about volunteering is just the way that you can lose yourself in service to others. It just brings me so much happiness and joy when I'm able to serve other people in the community and in the area and just make their lives a little bit better. One of my favorite ways to serve is right from home on my computer. I'm able to index records and transcribe different records such as like birth records and census records so that they can become available on family history sites. Another one of the ways I like to help serve is by participating in the Mormon Helping Hands group. I'm able to go help clean out after hurricanes, and I've been able to help at Hurricane Laura cleaning up tree branches, and in Hurricane Harvey I was able to help muck out houses and tear down sheetrock. It's always such a rewarding experience. Service to me isn't just organized efforts, it's also like living your day-to-day life serving others in your community. One of the ways that I love to do it is by visiting widows in my neighborhood. I've made such great friends with them, and it's always just so fun to visit with them and talk with them. They're some of the best people I know.
Thank you, Morgan, for your dedicated service. Your example has truly inspired us. My mother has been a recipient of Morgan's service, and she loves Morgan dearly. Morgan, can you share with us one of your favorite volunteering experiences?
Oh boy, that's hard because there are always great experiences that come with every volunteering experience. But as I kind of mentioned in the video, one of my favorite opportunities to serve is through Mormon Helping Hands. There have been some of the best moments of my life when I'm able to help with hurricane cleanup. Specifically during Hurricane Laura, this past hurricane, we were able to travel up to Lake Charles, Louisiana for a couple weekends to be able to help clean out tree branches and muck out houses and tear down sheetrock. And it was such a rewarding experience to be able to meet those humble people who had a very tragic thing happen to them. And even though it was like long days in the heat, there's something about that manual labor that just like really helps you feel the love that you have to for each other as a community. And along with that, I also like to index, which is what I kind of talked about in my video. And if you want to know more about that, I'm actually doing a little lesson on Saturday as part of this Together Houston from 9 to 10, if you want to learn more about that then. But anyways, yeah, that's just a little bit about my experiences.
Thank you, Morgan, for all you've done to make your community a better place. And Morgan will be hosting a live session on Saturday morning, as she's mentioned, from 9 to 10 a.m. She'll be sharing with us a great stay-at-home service that we call indexing. The project aims to create searchable digital indexes of scanned images of historical documents that are relevant to genealogy. And today, Dr. Helen Graham spoke a lot about how digitizing has increased the ability and the accessibility of documents for individuals who are trying to search for their ancestors. These records are then available free online. So join Morgan to find out more about this interesting and fun project you can do anytime, from anywhere, on any device. Keep Us Fed in Montgomery County is a nonprofit organization that gathers surplus food from restaurants and grocery stores, keeping it out of the landfill and delivering it to area charities serving people in need. For 3 years, Linda Ball has been a committed volunteer for Keep Us Fed. Let's hear more.
Keep Us Fed Montgomery County is a Montgomery County-based nonprofit helping feed our hungry neighbors by recovering excess nutritional food that might otherwise be thrown away. Today, we'd like to introduce you to our volunteer, Linda Ball, who is always there to help us with our food pickups and deliveries. We nominated Linda as our volunteer spotlight because of the way that she builds relationships with food donors and recipients.
Okay, Linda, so tell me a little bit about how you found Keep Us Fed and got started with us.
We moved here from Seattle, Washington area about 3 years ago, and I wanted to volunteer, but I knew I wanted to do something meaningful, not just walk the dogs, although I really did want to go walk the dogs. I went and trained their volunteer, but I kept thinking, no, there needs to be something else. So I went on Just Serve, the app, and started looking and saw Meals on Wheels and several of the others, and I stumbled on this and I thought, this sounds great because it's going to address the poor and the needy like Christ has told us to do. And it's a wonderful thing. It works out great, and it was just right for filling that hole of something good to do. And I got my exercise.
Yes. So we're going to see you in action in just a minute, but can you share a little bit about what you found most fulfilling volunteering with Keep Us Fed?
The people, of course, but I guess when you drive up someplace and your car's full of stuff, it doesn't even matter what kind of stuff it is, but they're always so happy to see you. Some places are thrilled to see you. And you know that all of this is going to be gone by this afternoon and this evening. And to know that it's feeding people today is probably the most fulfilling. Getting to know those people that are doing it, and this vast network of under the radar people who bring it all to fruition, doing their little part. And that's what's really fulfilling.
Keep Us Fed relies on over 50 volunteers each week to make food recovery and delivery possible. Because of our tremendous growth and the needs of our community, we can use many more volunteers to make Keep Us Fed a weekly commitment. Now let's follow Linda inside to the Kroger location to retrieve donations and package them.
Different kinds of produce and sorting out between our recipients and making sure that everybody gets the approximate poundage that they need for their organization.
Awesome.
We have some places that are food pantries that can take extra stuff too, and they'll disseminate it to that neighborhood.
Just show a little bit of the goodies we have today. Apples, all donated courtesy of our friends here at Kroger.
Thank you, Linda, for all you do to help keep us fed and our community. If you're interested in joining Linda and the rest of our volunteer team, please email volunteercoordinator@keepusfedmoco.org or visit our website.
Linda, it goes without saying that the folks over at Keep Us Fed greatly appreciate you and the time you spent with them. Now, let me tell you about SBP, an organization that focuses on rebuilding homes that were damaged by Hurricane Harvey. Yes, 4 years later, they are still rebuilding homes that were damaged in the record-breaking storm. Tonight, they have selected Julie Bolton as their Spotlight volunteer. Here is Javelle Johnson, SBP's volunteer manager.
Julie Bolton for her incredible volunteerism. Julie has served with SBP since 2017 and has provided over 200 hours of direct rebuilding support in the homes of Harvey impacted families. And we are just truly moved and honored by her commitment and unwavering support. Despite the unprecedented challenges faced due to COVID-19, Julie has still remained one of our most loyal and dedicated volunteers, and her contributions are truly inspiring. Just through her efforts and the efforts of our continued volunteer base, we are able to continue our life-changing work of returning families home as quickly and safely post-disaster. So Julie Bolton, we salute you and we thank you, and most importantly, we spotlight you.
So I love SPP USA. I've been volunteering with them since the 10-year anniversary of Katrina, when I had the opportunity to work on a build sponsored by my company, and met a woman whose story just absolutely changed how I look at giving back. And she had lost everything, and then had a contractor commit fraud, so she lost it all again. And as she was telling her story, she talked about the victims of Superstorm Sandy and how she felt for them, and how she knew what they were going through. And while she only had about $35 in her bank account, and she didn't think it would do much, she sent that entire bank account to them. And that story changed how I look at giving. It changed how I look at giving back, both with my time as well as financially. I realized there was so much more I could do, and have been volunteering with SBP since. When Harvey hit, as soon as they were up and running, I was volunteering, and have missed nothing more during the pandemic than those Saturdays, either putting up drywall, painting, whatever it is that needs to be done, doesn't matter. I'm all in, miss it, love the volunteers, love the SBP family. Many of them have become very near and dear special friends because we share a common heart, and that is a heart for people. And just an amazing organization. Miss them, love them, and got both my shots, so hopefully I'll be back out soon.
Thank you, Julie, for your dedication to volunteerism and to the great work that SBP does for our community. Last but not least, let's hear from Volunteer Houston, an online web portal open to anyone who wants to browse thousands of volunteer opportunities with hundreds of local nonprofits located in the 13 counties of the Gulf Coast region. Volunteer Houston has selected Mary Miller as their Spotlight volunteer. Here is Gayla Wilson, Program Manager for Volunteer Houston, to share more about the impact that Mary is making in COVID testing efforts.
Thanks, Andy. Starting on March 22nd, 2020, over a year ago. Mary Miller has volunteered a total of 2,014 hours and has driven 7,770 miles to make it happen. So she signed up in the Volunteer Houston portal in March of last year and has consistently ranked as our top volunteer in terms of hours logged each month. Most of her volunteer hours have been serving with Harris County Medical Reserve Corps, assisting with COVID education and testing sites. Recently, Mary has branched out and has begun to volunteer at Space Center Houston. We reached out to Macon Serio, the Medical Reserve Corps Coordinator at Harris County Public Health, and asked her what she thought about Mary's achievements. Here's what she had to say. For the past year, Mary has been well known as our most dedicated MRC volunteer. As a volunteer coordinator, it has been such a pleasure to get to know and work with Mary. She is the epitome of the type of person you want on your team and representing your organization. I am so inspired by her heart of service for others, dedication, and work ethic. Thank you, Mary, for all that you do and have done for MRC. Mary, you are a shining example of volunteerism. We all know that volunteering is not about accumulating hours. Rather, it is about the people we serve with and for, the nonprofit staffs, their constituents, and the fellow volunteers. We can all find common ground as volunteers, no matter our backgrounds. Thank you so much for your hard work and dedication, Mary. Back to you, Andy.
Well, congratulations to tonight's Spotlight volunteers. Each of our volunteers will receive a special recognition package in the snail mail within the next week and a half. Also, all of our Spotlight volunteers will be invited to a VIP tour of the Minute Maid Ballpark, hosted by Marcel Braithwaite, the Senior Vice President of Business Operations for the Houston Astros. We want to thank Marcel for this most generous donation, as well as his donation of the Astros tickets that are part of our prizes for this event. But most importantly, we'd like to personally thank each of you for your dedication, your time, and for sharing your stories with us tonight. Nonprofits cannot thrive without the help and support of their volunteers. So on behalf of the thousands of nonprofits right here in the Gulf Coast region, if any of you in the audience tonight haven't volunteered in a while, we encourage you to learn more about the nonprofits who are participating in this event or who are located in your neighborhoods. It's never too late to volunteer. We hope you continue to enjoy the rest of the #HoustonTogether event through Saturday evening. If you weren't already aware, the self-paced virtual scavenger hunt is underway, and it's not too late to join. Find the session titled Scavenger Hunt and click the link to get your hunt started. Also, if you weren't aware, all attendees earn points for interacting in the virtual event. Each of you who attended tonight has earned 175 points. Your point code is 34979. If you're on a smartphone or a tablet, click the gameplay icon on the home screen to enter your points. If you're on a computer, click the game icon in the orange toolbar at the bottom of your screen. Again, your point code is 34979. Don't forget to check out the service projects for Saturday that are sponsored by our various nonprofit organizations. With so many choices, it will be hard to decide where to volunteer. So why not volunteer for all of them? Thank you again to our sponsors, Eclectic Interiors, Insperity, and Trinet. Have a great night. Goodbye.